I'm going to introduce you to a couple of my breeding tanks, Bosemani and my Millennium rainbows. You can see them right at the top row over there. These are my juveniles slash adults. A lot of these are my breeding setups down here, and I'll go into details on how I do it and what kind of care I give. So here are my Bosemani. Kind of juvenile still a little bit, but they still breed. I find once they get true breeding colors, especially the males, obviously, they'll start breeding right in the mops pretty regularly. Same thing that I did with the Millenniums. I just transferred the breeding mop into the tank that I'm keeping them in, and I just did the same to the Bosemanis. So I got this tank full of Bosemani babies. I have just a couple that have hatched. Probably not be able to see them there. There's a couple in there. And I'm working on hatching some more. Millenniums, Bosemani. As you can see, I'm not too worried about algae. I think it's a good thing. Typically, and I found.
I see eggs. I see baby eggs.
Quiet, please.
I see baby eggs.
Yeah.
You don't have packing.
What do you see?
I see mama eggs.
You see mama eggs? Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I see day eggs.
Oh yeah?
I see jacket eggs.
Right.
I see baby eggs. I see basket eggs. I see water eggs.
That's right. So as you can see, I don't worry too much about algae. I find that, some people do infusoria or something, drips of some sort, or dosings. I've had decent luck with raising babies just from whatever, microscopic organisms grow in the algae or up and around it. They typically will feed right off of that and grow pretty nicely. I'll supplement with some fry food as well. And this one's a little cleaner. Still, you can see all the algae on the sides of the tank. Apologies, it's early in the morning and I don't have my lights on yet. We do all sponge filters for all my tanks. For most of them, I should say. Automatic drip system is what you see right here. It goes on 2 or 3 times a day. I don't remember what I have it set to, but those are 1 gallon per hour drip emitters. It goes to a manifold and just hooked up to an irrigation system. I'll show you that at some point in another video. Yeah, so that's about it. These are babies I raised myself. Again, some more Millenniums here. Starting to really color up nicely. These are about 8 months old-ish, somewhere around there. And yeah, it's in kind of a planted tank. You got jungle val that's kind of just growing wherever it wants to in here. Not too worried about it. These are the ones I'm actively trying to breed. I picked the male because it was a pretty good body, very colorful, and some of my bigger females. So right here are the parents. Quickly, I usually do 1 male to a couple females, just so that the male doesn't bother any of the females too much. Just have it in a 20-gallon tank. Front glass is a little dirty, but it's alright. As you can see back here, right there, there's a spawning mop. Just something I created out of yarn from any craft store. It's pretty simple. Put a cork in the top, and then just kind of wound some string, some yarn around like a book or something, cut it in half, and then tied it around the cork, which you can kind of see right there. And I'll show you what I do when I do collections of eggs. Actually, you can see an egg right there. Alright. So as you can see, there's a bunch of eggs right in this little area. Right there, right there, right down here. They're really solid, really easy. You can handle them with your hands. Grab them up. There's like a little filament that attaches them. As you can see right there. Right in my hand. So these are the little Millennium Rainbow eggs. I'll put them in that 10-gallon that I showed you with a little fry, and watch and wait for them to hatch. I don't know if you can see that little thing. It's kind of wiggling right at the surface. It's a little rainbow fry. I believe it's Millennium Rainbow. So I started spawning some Millennium Rainbow. I'm also doing Bosemani too, but yeah, just disappeared off this side over there. When the babies get big enough, this is something I typically will feed, or crushed spirulina. These are the two type of staple foods I usually do. I'll do brine shrimp, baby brine shrimp. I get a hatchery that I'll usually fire up to start feeding them when they get big enough. It's usually not for Bosemani, are pretty slow growers, so it takes a little time before they can actually take baby brine. Still early morning. These are some of my older adults in my big 150 tank. That's the father of those juveniles that I showed you earlier. For the Bosemanis. Don't have the Millenniums anymore that I actually bred from. Luckily I was able to breed the Millenniums before I lost the parents, but so all the Millenniums I have now are the first generation off of those. But in the morning they give some of the most spectacular colors. Pretty awesome. See all my turquoise. So that's a quick overview of what I do for breeding a couple of my species of rainbow fish. If you have any comments or questions, leave the comments down below. And push the like button and subscribe to my channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.